Ooh, it is bright. It's a nice sunny day. And I got the Kei trucks. And I'm gonna be comparing them for you. I'm gonna talk to you about what is similar, what are the differences, and also what it's like to drive these vehicles. I have on the far left over there is the Suzuki Kei truck, which is owned by Marvin. Daihatsu Hijet, which is owned by Nick, and a Honda Acti truck owned by Francis. That one is a 1994. I believe this is a 1991, and this is an 89 Honda Acti. Now let's talk about the similarities of this trucks. So they're all about 10 feet long, about 5 feet high, and about 4.5 feet wide. Their beds are also about 4 feet wide and 6 feet long. All the beds on these trucks, they can all fold down to make it a flatbed, and I'll show you what I mean, which is one of the neat things about owning. So you unlatch this, the latch is here, fold flat, which makes it very handy to load stuff. And also, if you remove this bolt right here, you can slide the whole thing out so it can be truly a flat bed, and they all do that. Now they all have spare tires on this. The only difference is that the Daihatsu and the Suzuki carry their tires in the rear, and the Honda carries it on the side. Look this up. You can see it right in there. There's the Honda spare. These are all four-wheel drive vehicles. The Honda's four-wheel drive is real time. That means it's always on. The Daihatsu and the Suzuki, you have to engage the four-wheel drive system inside the vehicle. These are all right-hand drive vehicles, and they are all also over 25 years old. That's the only way, or 25 years and older. That's the only way you can import them for road use, street use into the United States. So keep that in mind when you're ordering one of these. The batteries, all of them are also on the left side. I'm sorry. All the batteries are on the left side. You can see. There it is. They come in both automatic and manual, but all these trucks that we have here, they're all manuals. And they say that the manual vehicles are the ones that are recommended because apparently they have some issues with the automatics for Kei trucks. I guess they're not as strong or as reliable. Okay, since this is a 1989, this is the only one of all three of these that have a 550 motor. Now, the Honda Actis that are made after this, they have a 660 motors. The Daihatsu has a 660, and the Suzuki has a 660cc motor. So this is a little smaller displacement. However, after 89, it went up to 660. Also, the reason why Francis got the 89 is because of the lights, the round lights. After this, they changed the Honda lights to the square ones, and I'll show a video or a pic of my other truck, which is a 1991, and you can see how the lights are different. So this is the one that's actually everybody's after for a Honda. It's this circle lights. The Suzuki kept the circle lights all the way until 1994, and I believe in 1995 they changed it to a square light system, where the Daihatsu, I think it's in the 80s where it was round, and then they kept the square lights. They're all pretty easy to start. You don't have to get in and press the clutch when you start these. There's no like clutch switch or anything like that. You just put it in, turn it on, starts right up. One thing about Japanese vehicles, the Kei trucks, is that the controls are on the other side on the steering column. So to turn on the lights, it's on the right side, and to signal, and to turn on the washer, wipers, and all that is on the left side, which is different from the US vehicles. So that takes a little bit getting used to. So the Honda and the Daihatsu, you can adjust the seat. There's a lever here to slide the seat forward or back. You can't. So it's just to slide the seat forward and back. You can't adjust the column. So the Honda and the Daihatsu, you can slide the seat. The Suzuki, you can't. So I'm about 5'11", and I actually have a lot of room. I'm in the Honda right now. I have a lot of room to drive. You feel like you are sitting straight up. Fueling the trucks. With gas in, all of them, they're all on the right side. That is the Honda, the Daihatsu, right here. And if you notice, they're all gonna have a little small keyhole. You put the key in there, unlock it, and then you can turn it and take it off. And the Suzuki one's a little tricky because it doesn't look like it has a keyhole, but if you turn this thing, there's the keyhole. And I remember, because I used to own this truck, I was like, how do you open this? I almost broke it trying to turn it. So if you have one of these covers, remember, you just lift it, put the key in there, unlock it, and then you can take it out the cap. So the vents and everything, they operate, they're all the same setup. Right in the center, on, off, all that stuff. They just have a basic radio. Usually people change the radios out with aftermarket radios. And also the pattern, the shift pattern is the same as in any other standard vehicle. First, second, third, fourth. The only difference between the two vehicles is that the Honda has a fifth gear. Let me just check if the Daihatsu has a fifth gear, and that's very helpful. Nope, I'm looking at the Daihatsu right now and it only has 4. So the Honda has a fifth gear. Also, to engage the Suzuki and the Daihatsu's 4-wheel drive system, it's a lever like this. If you can see, it says 2H, 2 high, 4 high, and then for this one, to get into 4-wheel drive low, you're gonna pull it all the way up. Push this thing and pull it all the way up, this lever, and that's how you engage the 4-wheel drive system in the Suzuki. Very similar to the Daihatsu. You're gonna push this button to gauge in the 4 high or 4 low. Where the N is, that means it's gonna be in 2-wheel drive. And if I didn't say this earlier, the pedals are the same. The clutch is on the left. You got your gas on the right and your brake in the center. So just like driving any other vehicle. And if you're wondering, how hard is it to learn how to drive on the right? Actually, it just takes a few minutes, 5-10 minutes of driving around, and you'll get the hang of it. Doesn't take that long to get the hang of driving on the right side of the car. I'm going to show you something. See that square is? That's the access panel for the engine in both the Daihatsu and Suzuki. Now the Honda, it's right all the way back here in the rear. And this is something very important to consider, and I'll tell you why. The reason why is when the engine is more forward towards the cab, like here in the Daihatsu, it tends to make the cab more warm. And Marvin, who owns a Suzuki, told me that it actually gets kind of hot driving around with the Suzuki. So the Honda stays cooler without AC because you got the motor in the back right here. One thing I noticed about the Daihatsu, the seating position, is that you sit a little lower in it. So that's one thing. It is hot also. Woo! It's a hot day. All the Kei trucks that I'm driving today, they have no AC. So and they recommend for some reason to buy Kei trucks with no AC, one less thing to worry about. But you know, if you're living in a hot climate, you might want to consider getting one with AC. But when you open the windows, the air rushes through. It's about 90 degrees and it's pretty hot, but the air is actually rushing through here, so it's kind of keeping me cool. It's easy to drive. I'm on third gear right now, fourth gear. Keep in mind that these vehicles are not meant for, what do you call it, highway use, because you know, the best drive speeds are on these things are under 50 miles an hour. When you're going above 50 miles an hour in this thing, it's really not meant for that. These are meant to drive around the town, in small areas, on the side streets, doing agricultural work. They are heavy duty, but they're not meant to go really fast. So the Daihatsu shifts smooth, and what I found out about the Daihatsu is that Toyota bought the Daihatsu company, and so basically it's a Toyota. You know, think about it like that. It's a Toyota. So you know, Toyotas are known for their reliability and being great overall vehicles. I had to think about turning right now because I'm taking a right turn and I almost turned on the windshield wipers. Since I've driven all three of them, I want to say that the Daihatsu, between all three of them, feels like it has the strongest motor, or maybe the more torque, but that could also be the gearing of the vehicle. It could make it feel like that, but between all of them, it has a lot of punch when you drive. The Suzuki, wow, this Suzuki feels like it has a lot of power. And smoother. Feels smoother than the Daihatsu on the road as far as the suspension is concerned. So the engine placement for both the Daihatsu and the Suzuki are near the cab, or right under where we're sitting, the chairs. That's where the engine is at on this vehicle. Steering feels good too on this one, very tight. Keep in mind that these are 25-year-old vehicles. There's no hill assist, no crazy electronics. It's just a simple vehicle. So one thing I noticed is that you feel more engaged because everything is mechanical in these things. You know, you really gotta know your clutch plate, things like that. You feel kind of like I'm a part of the vehicle for some reason, not so detached, because it's so mechanical. That's the fun. I think if you try driving a Kei truck, you're gonna get that experience. You know, if you like manual transmissions, you're gonna get the fun factor in driving these, because you can really toss them around, you know, be a little rough with them, because that's what they're made for. These are industrial vehicles. That's one of the benefits I heard about the Suzuki Kei truck, is there's a lot more aftermarket parts available from Suzuki as far as lifting it for like off-road use, you know, making it higher, putting bigger wheels on it. I noticed that there's a lot more parts available for the Suzuki in particular compared to the other Kei trucks. Wow, this truck really feels robust. The Daihatsu is robust, but it's just a little different. But this one feels a little smoother than the Daihatsu. As far as the suspension is concerned, I'm very curious because after this I'm going to drive the Honda, and the Honda's motor is in the way back over the rear axle, so that's going to be a little different driving experience. I can tell you right off the bat, the Honda is the smoothest. I like the way that it drives on the road, and I also really like its seating position, the way the seat is in the vehicle. It feels most natural, and also the cushion is really thick, so it's not as jarring of a ride when you're in the Honda. Because you got to keep in mind that these these trucks weren't really made for comfort. It's nice, it's also really smooth, and it has a 5th gear. Now, one of the drawbacks of the Honda is that it has its 4-wheel drive system always on, and I know that if you're into modification of vehicles, especially for off-road use and things like that, having it always on is a challenge. You want to be able to separate it, like in the Daihatsu and in the Suzuki. So if you're going to be using it for off-roading and lifting it and things like that, the Honda shouldn't be your choice. It should be off your list. Now, you're just using it for street use. For me, it's the best one. It's the best one for that purpose. And that's why, personally, I like the Honda. I like the way I sit on it. I like the way it drives. I love the 5th gear in the Honda. And you know what? It's a Honda. If I was going to do off-roading, I'd stick with the Suzuki because there's a lot more parts available. And also what I found out is that they make much more Suzukis than the other vehicles, the other Kei trucks. So Suzuki has a lot of things available for it to modify. And another thing is its wheel pattern is more popular. The Suzuki's wheel pattern, you can find a lot more options for wheels for the Suzuki. The Honda and the Daihatsu, which have a similar wheel bolt pattern, it's a little bit more challenging. As far as which has the quieter ride, for me it's going to be a tie between the Honda and the Suzuki. They're very similar. I want to say the Suzuki is a little bit more quieter on the road. The Daihatsu is a little more, it's noisier. There's things moving around in it and things like that. And it could just be the particular truck that I'm using next truck. And action. So you're wondering, which Kei truck is for me? And by the way, yes, that's a different Honda in the background. The reason why I have this Honda is because the first one that I was using in the first part of the video, I shot that a few days ago, and I just got this one in from the port. So I wanted to use this one, which is a 1991, when I was doing the test drive, and that's what you see in the test drive. So this truck is called Stardust, which is my personal Honda Acti truck. Anyways, the question, which Kei truck should you buy, or which one is for you? You gotta answer one of these 3 questions. Am I gonna use it for street use? Am I gonna be using it for off-road with modifications? Or am I gonna do a little bit of both? Now, if your answer is I'm gonna be using it for off-road and modifying it, like lifting it, then for me, in my opinion, your best choice would be the Suzuki. That one. A lot of aftermarket parts are available for this compared to the other 2. Also, it is easier to find wheels for the Suzuki because of its bolt pattern. The Honda and the Daihatsu, it's a little bit more difficult. So if you're going to be doing off-road type modifications like lifting it and other things like that, the Suzuki is the best choice. Now, if you're going to be driving it on the street and doing street type modifications like lowering it maybe, to me, because of the drive feel and the smoothness of it, the Honda is the best one for the street and the street look. Now, the Daihatsu, if you're thinking about in the future of maybe doing it for that off-road look or street use, street look, then the Daihatsu has a little bit of everything. So it's a little combination. So answer that question. If it's for street use, the Honda. Off-road and modifying, the Suzuki. And if you're gonna be maybe in the future plan on modifying it, doing a little bit of both possibly, then the Daihatsu. So thanks for watching the video. Please subscribe, and I hope you liked it.